人が人を助けていいのは自分の手が直接届くところまでなんじゃないかって。俺はこんぐらい。
On September 5, 2010, two robbers disguised themselves as guards to steal antiques from a warehouse. Unbeknownst to them, silver medals form a hand around a red medal and weakly undoes a seal from a stone chest. An alarm is then triggered and a group of soldiers move out, the robbers witnessing creatures arise from the stone chest. The soldiers arrive and mount an attack in an attempt to destroy the creatures, while another guard unwittingly slipped through the attack. And in the tune of Happy Birthday, the soldiers are decimated one by one, no match for the might the creatures wield. Their boss, baking a cake to celebrate the birth of these creatures, the greed. The sleeping guard awakes and picks up a red medal thinking it as his compensation. And when he changes his clothes, the walls break down from the attack with the first responders seeing him in his underwear. This is the beginning of Kamen Rider OOOs. Kamen Rider OOOs comes hot in the heels of Kamen Rider Double, becoming the 12th series in the Heisei era of Kamen Rider, penned by one Yasuko Kobayashi, a screenwriter of a ton of anime. A few of them being all of the JoJo anime, the 2019 Dororo anime, Claymore, still gotta check that one out, with previous tokusatsu work in Kamen Rider as well, being Kamen Rider Den-O, Ryuki, Agito, and Decade. They also wrote the screenplay for Amazons, but that's far off in the future from this one. The secondary writer being Nobuhiro Mori, who wrote episodes 21, 22, 33 to 36 respectively. The story follows Hino Eiji, who gets roped into collecting medals by the disembodied hand Ankh, who's a greed like the monsters from the beginning, except he doesn't have a full body. Part of this journey being the mystery of Ankh's medals, Eiji's past, and the third main character Hina's emotional struggle in preserving Eiji's life and trying to save her brother, who ends up being Ankh's vessel for most of the show. This is the most truncated summary of the show I can give. I do love the show and I want people to watch it, so I'm giving this early spoiler warning for the whole show. Watch it with your family, watch it with your kids, watch it with your romantic partner. You will find something in this show that will stick with you. Now, without further ado, after the attack, Eiji is interrogated by detectives Izumi Shingo and his partner, being observed by the disembodied hand Ankh. Eiji leaves and comes across a vending machine with a peculiar design, and then meets Izumi Hina and her never-explained strength, who is immediately jump-scared by Ankh, who's been following Eiji because of the red medal he found. Meanwhile, one of the greed creates this series' weekly monsters called the Yami, creatures who feed on the object of their parents' desires. Why is it called the Yami? Probably a combination of the word yokobo, the Japanese word for desire, and mummy, which is obvious in design. This Yami is then instructed to search for any of his core medals. Core medals being like the colored medal Eiji picked up earlier. Seeing the Yami crash out of a jewelry store, the detectives give chase to the Yami, who eventually finds Eiji and Ankh, who attacks them for the medal Eiji has. The detectives do try to fight the monster but are instead injured. The sight of the injured detectives sparks something in Eiji. Amazing acting from Shu Watanabe's part, his facial expressions revealing hints of a well-worn trauma. Ankh, seeing a possible opportunity with him, gives him the OOO's driver, saying the belt will give him the power to save others. Using 3 colored medals slotted into the belt, Eiji transforms into Kamen Rider OOOs.
Henshin!
With the gift of this new power, Eiji handily defeats the Yami, with Ankh possessing the body of Izumi Shingo, his sister now calling him on his phone. Eiji confronts Ankh for taking the detective's body. While they're arguing, a flock of robot birds descend and collect all of the medals that were scattered by the Yami Eiji just defeated, taking it to the Cake Man's office. This argument continues as Ankh steals some ice pops that Eiji is forced to pay, saying that he can taste it and he can tell it's sweet. That is a very peculiar thing to say. Ankh then continues to explain the difference between the medals we recently saw, colored ones being core medals and the gray ones being cell medals. He uses the ice pop to illustrate this to Eiji, noting that the ice are the cells and the stick is the core. Notice that in this explanation, the cells contain all the sweet flavoring and the core is just the stick that holds it together. From the detective's phone, Eiji learns that Hina is the detective's sister and that she's applying for a part-time job in a restaurant called Kuskusia. The owner, Chiyoko, is making her carry a milk can. That's not going to be relevant later. Meanwhile, the green greed creates another yummy, this time attacking banks and the financial sector. Eiji and Ankh reach it, but Ankh refuses to let Eiji transform, intending to let the yummy engorge itself and grow larger. Ankh explains that the yummy consumes desire. Kogami continues this explanation, saying that everything is made with desire, that to live is to want. Takashi Ukaji as Kogami Kosei from the highly memed WonderCore ads highlights how much of a wonderful supporting character he is in this show. Hey, I know he did more than those commercials, but if you do have recommendations, let me know in the comments. Let me expand a bit on his explanation. Why do you need a table? Because you need a place to work on. Why do we need buildings, shelter, a place to work, a facility to manufacture goods, a place to store those goods? Why does food need to have taste, enjoyment, experience, the love of cooking? Everything we do has a tinge of desire to it. For you, some things that you do doesn't have any specific meaning. That doesn't ensure it for others. For others, it's a divine want. It scratches an itch. It satisfies. It nourishes their soul. Consuming so much of it is greedy. And what is greed but a failure to control one's desire? Hina calls her brother's phone, which is in Eiji's possession. We then flash back to a prominent memory from Eiji, and he dashes towards the building the yummy is currently destroying, managing to save a person before being taken away by the yummy, tumbling into danger, barely hanging for his life. Ankh orders him to transform, but Eiji declines, wanting Ankh to prioritize life instead. Ankh begrudgingly accepts, and the leader of the troopers, Shintaro Gotou, arrives handing Heiji a sword and a few cell medals, introducing him to the ride vendors, one of the coolest things I've seen in Kamen Rider. Vending machines operated by cell medals containing candroids, the robot birds which also come in different variants, and also turns into motorcycles. Bizarrely enough, this kind of feels like a game tutorial. Eiji turning the machine into a bike with Gotou summoning... Yeah, I guess this is a summon. Summoning octopus candroids to make a path towards the now giant yummy. Yes, the CGI is a bit janky, but it was 2010 and this was on a TV budget. Eiji defeats the yummy, charging the sword with medals, slicing it along with everything else. At the time, it's a really cool special move. Unfortunately, they run into Hina, who Ankh tries to kill after probing the detective's mind and learning that she's his vessel's sister. To defend her, Eiji threatens to throw away the O's driver. No driver, no rider, no cell medals, and especially no core medals for Ankh. This is their dynamic for the start of this series. It's a little bit toxic. Eiji takes the unconscious Hina to Kuskushie and Chiyoko. Then by some divine coincidence, in one of Chiyoko's globe-trotting pictures, Eiji is there in the background. Oh, by the way, we're formally introduced to the four greed. Uva, the green insect-based greed, Kazali, the yellow feline-based greed, Mezul, the blue aquatic-based greed, and Gamel, the white greed based on large animals. Ankh will give a more concise introduction later, but I'm going to introduce them here to establish them now. Oh, by the way, Mezul has a very funny connection to Kamen Rider Zets and Decade. Her human form is played by Honoka Miki or Honoka Yahagi. She co-stars with Yuki Furukawa in a drama called Itazura na Kiss, Love in Tokyo. Yuki Furukawa is Nox. As for the Decade connection, Kanamori, aka Hikari Natsumi, plays one of her romantic rivals in that show. Anyways, side tangent over. I only said this because I think the only reason O's was aired locally in the Philippines was because of that show. Anyway, the Greed all have their own way of creating yummies, and this time we're witness to Kazali's method. His yummies are parasitic, clinging to the host while they're forced to indulge in their desires. The parent Kazali chose is a glutton, forced to eat everything in his sight, attacking even the couscousier. Eiji and Ankh eventually catch up to the yummy, and Ankh tells Eiji that the parent is already a glutton and the yummy just exploited that. He's reaping what he sows, as Ankh says. Eiji still wants to save that man, however, so he fights. And we see Oz's version of the rider kick for the first time. The grasshopper legs allow him to jump, the hawk guides him through the rings, and the tiger arms slice through his opponent? I just made that last one up. It's an educated guess, okay? Unfortunately, one of the Greed, Kazali, protects his yummy by sending in rubble into Eiji's way. Kazali tries to offer Ankh to work with him, but he declined. This is where Hina discovers that Eiji has her brother's phone. She takes him to Couscousia, and Eiji, in turn, tells the truth about her brother's situation. That Ankh possessed her brother and he's working on somehow helping her brother out. Meanwhile, Ankh is studying current technology, using the detective's memories and stealing ice cream. Being able to find the yummy again, they fight it again. And I have to tell you a very unique dynamic between Eiji and Ankh. Eiji is very good at fighting, but Ankh is the one who's smart enough to know what medals to use and when. After the battle, Kogami finally introduces himself to Ankh and Eiji, offering his services, the ride vendors and the Kandroids, for a cut of the cell medals they gather. You know, Satonaka and Kogami is what Sea Dog VA and Iron Mouse would look like if their situations were reversed. Behold! I have made this image! In another place, the Greed has chosen human disguises. And this is very important to distinguish. They chose disguises. Ankh possessed someone. This very minuscule detail will have a very large impact in the future of this show. This time, we're seeing Mizul make her yummy. The way her yummy is consumed desire is by leaving eggs near the parent's vicinity while the parent indulges in their desire. While investigating, Eiji runs into Uva, who wants the grasshopper medal back. Ankh, however, is able to trick Uva and have Eiji steal his medals, earning them 3 green medals, which allows for Oz to transform with a combo form. Although, apparently Tatoba is also a combo, and they made fun of this in one of their side web series things. It's quite funny. Continuing to survey the city for the yummy, Eiji runs into Gotou, who's a bit bitter with Eiji. He tells Eiji where the parent is, while Ankh tries to negotiate with Kogami about sharing cell medals. The eggs are hatched in the parent's apartment and a massive amount of yummy are released. Eiji tries to use a ride vendor, but since Ankh doesn't want to share medals with Kogami, he disables the system and disallows its use. Ankh is forced to agree with Kogami, revealing that he already had a share of 60% in mind. The initial offer a feint to trick Ankh. The amount of yummies appearing overwhelms Eiji, and he asks Ankh for the combo. Ankh tells Eiji that the power of the combo wouldn't come without consequences to himself, a cost Eiji willingly gives. Eiji transforms into Gatakiriba, having the ability to multiply and destroy the army of yummies that converge into one monster. Having used all this power, Eiji passes out in exhaustion. Now this is a good time to segue on how Oz works as a rider. Oz's design is fantastic. As I mentioned before, he uses 3 colored medals to transform, and each medal gives different abilities. His chest plate displaying which medals he is currently using. In the first episode, Oz debuted his first form, the Tatoba form, a hawk head, tiger arms, and grasshopper body. Taka gives enhanced sight, Tora gives claws, and Bata gives him the ability to jump high. Switching Tora with Kamakiri gives him mantis sides, and Kuwagata, the head, allows Oz to use electricity. Cheetah gives Oz fast legs, and he still has more options that we haven't seen yet so far. Oz has one of the most fun designs in Kamen Rider. Although a bizarre yet understandable TV presentation is the restriction that I don't think they ever address. Every medal can only be used in a specific body part. Taka, Lion, and Kuwagata are exclusively head medals. Tora and Kamakiri are exclusively used for arms. Bata and Cheetah can only be used as legs. There is also one part of the story that's not addressed until the final ending of the show. Let me tell you, we have to get through a lot of movies before that one. Continuing with the story, it's Gamel's turn to create his own yummy, which he generates on himself. After seeing a couple argue, a woman throwing a shoe on her husband. This gives Gamel a sort of childish satisfaction. Meanwhile, Ankh gets caught in a trap set by Uva in his human disguise, with Eiji unable to help him because he's busy with the yummy Gamel has made. After a few episode plot beats, Eiji is able to help him and defeat Gamel's yummy, which doesn't generate any cell medals. Just the one medal Gamel used to make it. So, what desires can make medals? After a few events that allow Eiji and Ankh to settle into the restaurant Kuskusir, a noise paints horror into Eiji's face. A noise very familiar to him. The sound of a bomb rocks him to his core, alerting people away from the site of an explosion. This is where Ankh explains that any desire can be exploited, even the desire to create bombs and see them explode. Eiji reveals part of his past to Hina, how he once got caught in a civil war in another country and a village helped him out. In turn, he spent weeks helping them, but eventually, the village was attacked too. Chasing after one of the yummies, Eiji and Ankh run into Gamel and Mezul, who tries to get in his way. This is where Eiji uses Ratorata, receiving the Lion Medal from Kogami in an earlier episode. It's so dang powerful that it causes part of the lake they're fighting in to dry up, damaging Mezul so much it causes her to drop 4 core medals that Ankh promptly takes. With the water flowing back, the yummy reappears and is handily defeated by Ratorata. And upon my rewatch to this, I'm really surprised that it's in this episode that they introduced Kyoto Maki, a scientist under Kogami's employ. Disturbingly enough, he looks like Junji Ito, but the dude who plays him, Yu Kamio, is not even related to the guy. He secretly watches over the yummy's parent, who's revealed to be one of his own subordinates. Unironically, Dr. Maki, or Kogami would say, Dr. Maki! His theme is freaking Mozart's Lacrimosa. You know, this song. And we get a peek of what he's about. He has a fixation on endings. More about that in a bit. After Eiji stops the yummy parents' bombing run, Eiji butts heads with Dr. Maki after handing him a new android. Eiji missing a punch and destroying a nearby utility box. The look of seething, contained anger imprinted on Eiji. The whiffed punch, a demonstration of his contempt at Maki's blatant disregard for human life. With the help of the new Tiger Candroid, Eiji is able to clear the yummy's nest, Maki contemplating a plan he sets into motion. Let's talk about the supporting cast in Oz. Kogami Kosei, the owner of the Kogami Foundation, owns all of the extra tech Oz uses. The Candroids, the motorcycles, and even his sword. He's kind of a boss that will literally bake you a cake if it's your birthday in his company. He supports your desire and believes that human desire can lead to human evolution. He's over the top, loud, and over the span of the show is shown to be a very cool dude. His secretary is Erika Satonaka. She lives for the weekend, a true model employee. She only takes overtime when she needs to and takes all her breaks, which is kind of a weird thing to show in a Japanese children's show because people like her are kind of frowned upon in the Japanese corporate world. I hope I'm wrong. Please tell me it's changed and I am wrong. I would be fine if I'm wrong. Her role in the show will eventually grow, but in this first arc, she appears with Kogami in comic relief bits. Chiyoko is the owner of the restaurant Kuskushir. She's another cool boss. She is a world traveler, using the different experiences and cultures she witnessed around the world as themes in her restaurant. She is also comic relief but has a lot of great moments alongside Hina and the other cast. I'm just going to spoil this now. In the O's summer movie, she adapts so fast. She has no problem serving food from the future to Edo era people. She's amazing. Now, let's get to why I started those introductions. In the first few episodes, Shintaro Gotou is kind of envious of Eiji and is uncooperative, which leads to him being scolded by Kogami a lot in the first arc. He joined the foundation because he, quote-unquote, wants to save the world. His arc kind of parallels the story of one Tsukuba Keisuke, a minor travel blogger played by Shinosuke Abe of Impactor Alien Loga fame and the Dark Chef in Kabuto. Layoff, I love those episodes. Tsukuba is a struggling creator. His blogs doesn't get any traction, his books ignored by publishers. Uva exploits this desire and steals abilities from fellow bloggers. Their ability to speak, to write, to present. The Yami created from him escaping from a fight with Eiji because Gotou was too proud, not giving the new candidates given by Kogami, allowing it to escape. Oh, and Gotou actually kind of accidentally shot Eiji with a bazooka. Kogami gives Gotou forced leave for this. Also, Maki kind of put him off to it, then laughs at his failure. What a dick. The Yami's influence on Tsukuba worsens as having nothing to write about. He asks if Eiji can let him write his experience with the civil war that destroyed the village as his own. Sensing the Yami, Ankh and Eiji run off to fight it, with Hina taking Tsukuba to see the Yami created from his own desire. This sobers him up, with Eiji allowing him to use his story as long as the horrors of war are shown to the world. Mentioning that what we've done is what's important. This rolls in well with Gotou's current development of just doing what he can right now to prove himself worthy of the power he wants to protect the world with. This continues on with the next episode where Ankh is a bit irritated that so far they've never actually seen Eddie medals for his body. And Gotou is going on his own and trying to fight Yamis by himself, leaving a subordinate to cover for his punishment. Kogami kind of encourages this from Gotou, but he also tells him that his pride gets in the way of his goal and it bores him. It's later revealed that Kogami has one of Ankh's medals. He orders the medal to be delivered to Maki's lab and Ankh wants to hijack the transport to get it. Eiji obviously refuses until Kazali, who is revealed to be working with Dr. Maki, intervenes, revealing that he kidnapped Hina and hid her in the transport van carrying a lot of cell medals and Ankh's core medal. Eiji inspects the van with Gotou but sees nothing. Eiji instead volunteering to escort them since he doesn't really have any leads. The escort mission leads to a fight on a bridge where the Greed are waiting to ambush the transport. Hina wakes up from a compartment in the van. The confusion allows Kazali to steal medals from Ankh, with Mezul knocking Eiji off the bridge. Ankh, having no other choice, follows Eiji off the bridge, dropping down to a river below. With Uva and Gamel away, successfully stealing the transport truck, Kazali drives his claw through Mezul and steals all of her medals, leaving her with one medal. In the riverbank, Eiji and Ankh fight. Ankh frustrated that Eiji didn't fight hard enough, and Eiji angry with Ankh's disregard for Hina's life. To convince him to be a little bit more considerate, Eiji promises him a 1-year supply of ice cream, an offer he accepts wholeheartedly. Meanwhile, Kazali porn acts his way back to his comrades, saying that Oz jumped him and defeated Mezul, a ruse Uva detects immediately and easily deducts that Kazali probably attacked Mezul too. He also offers Hina's freedom but attacks her anyway. Luckily, Ankh and Eiji is there to save her. Gamel coming back with Kazali tricking him to fight and generates a Yami. A few medal exchanges happen and Eiji uses Raturata which causes Gamel and Kazali to escape. Gotou throws in a medal he was able to save during the bridge fight and allows Eiji to not die from using combos, defeating Gamel's Yami. It's then revealed that along with Dr. Maki, Gamel is convinced to taking in Mezul's core medals, absorbing a total of 14 core medals, a mixture of Gamel and Mezul's, which completely restores his form. Kazali leaves Maki's lab but takes the Kujaku medal along with him. In Kugami's office, Ankh talks about the transfer of his core medal. It pisses him off and he leaves. Eiji asking Kugami about the origin of the greed. Alchemists compressing the power of animals into medals and created homunculi. The alchemist then takes one of the 10 medals that created the homunculi, giving them a gap that they can never fill. A never-ending desire to make themselves whole. Oz then use the core medals to seal away the rampaging greed. Meanwhile, a weakened Mezul wanders back to their hideout, a frustrated Uva resolving to steal Mezul's final core, creating trash Yami from broken cells to find her. Eiji and Ankh fight them off, unaware that it was Mezul that they helped. In the morning, they're having a Christmas party in Koskoshir, with a lot of guests. One of them, a very confused Gamel, overflowing with energy from the medals he's absorbed. Kudos to Hiroyuki Matsumoto's performance during these parts. He plays a very vulnerable lost individual. Gamel is very childlike, and during the show, you can see that him and Mezul portray the relationship of mother and child, which I believe they kind of cherish. You'll get what I mean by kind of. They eventually meet up and Mezul takes in all of the cores inside of Gamel's body along with Gamel. Dr. Maki opening a van filled with cell medals and throwing in 2 more green medals, transforming her into a rampaging monster. Which for 2013 TV CGI is fine. A scene with Kogami shows the difference in beliefs he has with Dr. Maki, in where Kogami views the rampaging greed as a failure, not allowing any practical evolution and just destruction. Maki considers it a success because of its destructive power. Eiji, having trouble with the monster, is assisted by another rider who uses cell medals. Using the 2 core medals that appeared after the other rider's attack, Eiji uses Gatakiriba to defeat the monster, its destruction causing all of the core medals to scatter, with Kazali, Uva, and Ankh being able to take core medals for themselves. After this fight, Eiji asks Ankh what he'll do when he completes all of his medals, asking if he wants to be a monster like the vessel. Ankh vehemently rejects that and states that he wants a complete body, a body that will never fall apart. If you look closely in this scene, Ankh has some tears on his eyes. I do not know if this is intended, but it deepens Ankh's character quite a lot, especially after you learn what his full deal is. As Eiji and Ankh leave the battlefield, the other rider introduces himself. Date Akira debuts as Kamen Rider Birth. The appearance of Date Akira and Birth signals the start of the show's second arc, focusing on Birth's mission to collect 100 million yen and the mystery of Ankh's missing medals. Date Akira is played by Hiroaki Iwanaga. Here's a picture of him with Ashley Graham cosplaying Lumin. We live in bizarre times, man. Also, can anyone send me like a better pic of them? I have socials linked in my channel. Thanks. Date is probably my second favorite character in the show besides Kogami. He has an outward cheerful blue-collar attitude towards his role as Birth. Now, I have to be honest about Kamen Rider Birth's design. It's kind of plain in my opinion, but the helmet is very striking and the belt as a toy looks very cool. The suit design has a theme of gashapon balls combined with samurai armor. The belt even making popping sounds gacha balls make when you open them. Birth's helmet also resembles that of Metal Heroes, which is kind of ironic because Iwanaga will eventually play Shider after this show. Hopefully he returns in the new Gavan Infinity series too. The helmet retains the gacha ball theme on top of the head being a giant gacha ball with, as I said, a headpiece that resembles that of some samurai helmets. The belt looks unassuming but looks very fun as a toy. Date transforms by consuming 1 cell medal, slotting it in the belt and turning the knob on the right, opening the gacha ball on the center. Additionally, Birth can feed more cell medals onto the belt to equip different kinds of weapons to himself, with even the ability to use multiple if he wants to. Birth's main weapon is called the Birth Buster. It's a gun that uses cell medals as ammunition, although it's also usable to other people who's not transformed. They just need a little bit of training. The sight of Bert scooping up medals from a milk can and loading it onto the gun looks so much fun. The scooper thing, according to the wiki, has a name. It's called a cell bullet pod, and it can be used as a secondary handle, or Birth can use it for a powerful cell burst attack using all the cell medals loaded onto the buster for a burst of energy. Interestingly enough, Birth often has the Iron Man inside the helmet view, which shows the wearer's face. Kamen Rider has done this before with G2 with Yusuke. I'm talking about the Decade World. I haven't seen Agito yet. I'll need to see if they do that too in the original show. And I'm pretty sure I'll check it out sometime soon because of Psychic War. It's an odd detail, just to say the least. After a fight with a Yummy that split itself in two, Date reveals his goal to collect cell medals and be paid 100 million yen. What for? Who knows? Gotou sees this and is kind of disappointed and a little jealous of Bert's user, especially since he's just a man who just fights for money. After this battle, Date says he's taking all of the cell medals from then on, which pisses off Ankh greatly, which leads to Eiji telling Date that it'd be dangerous for them to fight over cell medals, with Date responding with,
こんなもん取り合うのはさ。
でも逆に言うと、なんもないのに戦っちゃってる方が俺的には不気味で危険だな。
it'd be more dangerous to fight for nothing. Now, that's a thought, isn't it? Gotou eventually introduces himself to Date, wanting to know who was chosen to be Birth, and he just meets one of the chillest dudes ever. Date even asking him to eat oden and makes fun of Dr. Maki. It kind of dawns on Gotou that his pride has cost him a lot in his job and even his chance of being Kamen Rider Birth, which leads to this hilarious scene where he faints in Cusco's shear and just thinks he died and went to heaven, which, I mean, I don't blame him. He then starts working there on the next episode. Satonaka immediately spotting Gotou and tells him to file for leaves. Jesus, he can't catch a break. Satonaka is actually there to call for Eiji, Kogami wanting to personally meet him, to give him a red Condor medal. Eiji refuses to take the medal, wanting to make sure Hina's brother has fully recovered first. As an experiment from Dr. Maki, infused with Mezul's medals, Kazali creates a Yummy from a convict he and Maki broke out of prison. A person caught and convicted with the help of Izumi Shingo, Hina's brother and Ankh's current vessel. The man who assisted him in catching this criminal, Yasu, visits Cusco's shear in the hopes of meeting Shingo but is turned away because, well, Shingo isn't really conscious right now. Ankh drags him to find this Yummy where they encounter Yasu and the criminal Yamagane, currently the parent of the aforementioned experiment. After the encounter with the possessed Yamagane, Yasu gives a background on what happened between him, Shingo, and Yamagane, while Ankh enjoys Gotou's situation with a little bit of sarcasm. Eventually, Ankh decides to have them all stick together because they're all targets and Eiji can't really appear in 3 places at once. Yamagane then reveals himself and the Yummy absorbs his body, revealing a Yummy that's part lion and jellyfish. The combination actually making it difficult for them to defeat, with Date and Kazali appearing, Date wanting to collect medals and Kazali wanting to steal medals from Ankh, with Kazali explaining how he created the Yummy. During the fight, Kazali easily throws Date off a building and Yasu steals Ankh's medal binder along with most of his medals, Kazali absorbing 8 of his medals, finally nearing his resurrection. Kazali, eagerly opening Ankh's binder, reveals nothing but cell medals, a ruse so Ankh can steal the red core Kazali has in his possession, using Eiji as a feint and lying about the location of Kazali's final medal, then throwing him into the water so he can steal it. Ankh reveals that he still has the final yellow medal Kazali is looking for. Hina, infuriated by this, takes the red core from Ankh and runs away with it. Ankh eventually catching her in chains but is unable to take the core medal from her hand because of her insane strength. There is a lot of screaming in this episode. Oh, and Date is able to recover from his building fall, but finds out there's no one else to fight, so he heads to Kusushir to eat instead. Date encounters Gotou in the restaurant, and the pictures Chiyoko took with her travels catches his eye, spotting one with Eiji that makes him think a bit. Gotou shares his desire to become birth, and Data takes him in as a student, teaching him the ways of handling birth stools. The extreme recoil of trying out the birth buster for the first time gives Gotou a reality check. In the end, Date lends Gotou the birth buster. This episode also shows the understanding Ankh and Eiji built up throughout the episodes. Ankh understanding Eiji will still want to defeat the Yami, eventually telling Hina to keep the medal safe in the meantime. Eiji also heading out and finding the Yami after being treated by Yasu, who's just very confused at all of this. Eventually, they meet up to fight the Yami, but Eiji still has a hard time because of his prior injuries. Ankh not having any other options to help Eiji out. Date arrives to fight the Yami as well and eventually digs out the Yami parent from the Yami's body. Kogami, seeing both Eiji and Date overwhelmed by the Yami, sends out Satonaka with the Condor medal to help them. Hina bargains with Ankh requesting to send out the Kojaku medal along with the medal Satonaka has to help him. With the 3 red core medals, Eiji transforms into Ankh's super form, Tahajo. There is a contention in the fandom to what Oz's super form actually is. I have an interpretation, it's a bit unoriginal, and I'm sure a lot of other fans interpret the same, but I'll get to this, if not later, then after all of the movies. With the power of this new form, Eiji handily defeats the combined Yami. Ankh kind of longingly watching the power of the combo. As Ankh absorbs the 3 medals, nothing happens. He absorbs 3 parts of himself and nothing happens. Only able to conjure a wing for a few moments and then nothing. Ankh still stuck as a disembodied hand. Clearly heartbroken, Ankh walks away from a confused Eiji and Hina. Well, we don't get much of Ankh's story for a while, so let's check in with the other focus of the show's second arc. Date Akira and Shintaro Gotou, the 100 million yen man and his student. Gotou has developed a bit of ways since we first met him. He started kind of a snob, thinking he can do better than Eiji, but then Date arrived and Gotou realized that the power he wanted all along just went to this bounty hunter who just wanted the money. But we all know that's not the case, and Gotou kind of knows this too, but not entirely yet. A small hint of this coming from Dr. Maki pushing Date for a physical examination. The Yami that they'll be facing is actually connected to Date, the parent Sakura being an old colleague that he worked with when he was a war medic. Kazali, still infused with Mezul's medals, now added Gamel's medals into himself and created a new Yami through her. He actually meets her on his way to intercept a fight between Uva and Kazali. Her possession, I guess, comes in the form of an egg that mystifies anyone who sees her. And by anyone, I mean everyone, including Eiji. Wait, what the f*** is that guy doing? But mysteriously, this doesn't faze Date. So this episode where Eiji is affected by the Yami's seduction effects is probably the funniest of all this show. Stemming from everyone's reacting to Eiji acting like an idiot, Gotou smacking him with a giant fan, Eiji slapping Ankh on the head repeatedly with Ankh not doing a thing. He's just there sitting angrily. Going back to the A-plot, Date leaves Maki's lab in a hurry, seeing Sakura spread her influence through the city, leaving behind a ticket from Chiyoko. Her picture freaking Maki the f out, letting out a scream of terror. Date actually heading for Kuskushir to fetch Gotou. Date's confrontation with this Yummy gives us an insight into more of who Date really is and how he's going to act in the next episodes. A person able to see and appreciate passion, confessing that he liked Sakura better before her physical transformation. Base Date going for the nerd because nerds are awesome. This wakes up Sakura but pisses off the now grown Yummy who's fantastically designed, a fusion of a manta ray and rhino. Now, a bit of a segue, I like this show for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is while it's showing this serious emotional story in the A plot, the B plot is just this.
ちょっと待っとけよ。
ちょっと俺なんで変身してんの？
God, I love this show. Date handily defeats the rhino part of the Yummy, but then the manta ray part escapes. Oh, god damn, I didn't know they could do that. Escaping, breaking through the roof, raining down rubble, and injuring Sakura. Date spurring into action, his proficiency as a doctor in full display for us to see. Also, you don't see it a lot in this show, but the episode displays some good injury makeup, and it looks painful to see. Also, here, Date shirtless. This is a running theme when casting Hiroaki Iwanage in something. Jesus, even his voice acting gigs are not safe from this. In the end though, Date needs to put Sakura aside for his mission to collect 100 million yen. But what does this passionate, caring human being need this much money for? That's later down the road. Please be patient. It's coming. Back with Eiji and Ankh, Eiji finally asks Ankh why his body never regenerated after getting 3 medals. And Ankh just leaves and says he's going to collect more medals to know, leaving Hina concerned. And then a bird Yummy appears. Ankh isn't able to create yummies, but he's the only bird-themed greed around. So with no other possible suspects, Gotou interrogates Ankh if he's involved with it. And Ankh really makes it difficult to make himself trustworthy. Only Eiji, in spite of his broken body, giving the effort to defend him. But throughout the series, Ankh has done a lot of things to warrant this distrust from others. This distrust deepens when he gives the Dahador combination that's ineffective to the parrot Yummy, and further injuring Eiji. Not wanting to show any weakness, Ankh goes alone to follow the parrot Yummy. The reason he had Eiji use the medals because he knows it'll be safe with him. The defeat of the parrot proves Ankh's innocence, with Gotou apologizing for his rushed accusations. This very serious episode is followed by the 999th and the 1000th episode of Kamen Rider, which, whether you believe it or not, is canon to this whole series. I kinda even thought this would mess with some of the theories I have with some of the themes of the show, but it actually kind of blends in well. This is also the first time Maki and Chiyoko meets each other, and it's very awkward. As a celebration, it's amazing. But there are also a lot of moments that also tie into the future of the show. Also, Date gets paid 10 million yen for this, which counts for his goal. After all of that is Dr. Maki's birthday, and Kogami chooses head off for conspiring with Kazali. This makes Maki order Kazali to absorb all the other medals in his possession to speed up his plan. Kazali doesn't want this because he didn't have a chance to be completed yet, and creates a Yummy from Maki, who yearns for his sister. This puts Chiyoko in grave danger. Maki does not deny the truth of his desire, but he instead puts it under his mission. But seeing him here shows that he's really emotionally affected by this, even going to extreme lengths to protect Chiyoko. Date bailing him out in the last second. Chiyoko and Hina following the noise of the fighting to see Maki injured. Chiyoko ending up driving him to his old home with her, asking about the picture of a woman who looks like her. Maki revealing to her that it's his sister that died in a fire before her wedding. Maki revealing that the doll he always has is a gift from her sister. Chiyoko's gentle concern destroys Maki, remembering that the gentle Chiyoko, who has her sister's face, is the absolute opposite of how his sister really is. Maki's sister was intensely cruel, traumatizing him in his childhood so much that he took in her words that a person's death being just the completion of their story. This became his core philosophy, his mission in life. Maki pushes Chiyoko away, and in a flashback, revealing the one who killed his sister. A young boy traumatized by the cruelty he experienced from a sibling, a young Kyoto Maki, starting a fire in his sister's sleep to give her ending. He opens the door to her room, and in his eyes, the room is still on fire, and he wails in anguish. He was angry at her decision to leave him, never able to forgive her until the end. And so he joins Kazali to enact his true goal, to end the world before its beauty, gentleness, and kindness rots away and turns ugly. While all of that is happening, Ankh finally meets the one who created the bird Yami, a fragmented part of himself who almost absorbs him, able to escape this encounter with Ankh heavily injured. Meanwhile, Gotou prostrates himself to Kogami to return to the company his goal to learn more about O's, the greed, and the core medals. Kogami immediately spotting him rifling at files and inviting him to a reference room to personally tell him the story of O's. While recovering, Ankh recalls the same story to Eiji, Hina, and Dati in Couscous Year. The king who betrayed him, the original O's, stealing away the medals of the greed to infuse it to himself. An act of intense greed that ended up sealing himself in stone with Ankh's right arm and consciousness. Kogami continues his side of the story, with him finding the rest of Ankh's body, taking a core medal from it, and reviving it, screaming happy birthday like a maniac. Unfortunately, the lost Ankh is now with Kazali, who handily was able to convince it to his side. The story of Oz losing control of himself causes concern for Hina, whose witness to the brutal abuse Eiji inflicts on himself in order to help others while fighting as Oz. These two events come into a head, where Maki remotely destroys his lab to hide his plans and motives, with Eiji and Ankh running into Maki, Kazali, and Lost Ankh. A mass of Kandroids flying away like an ominous warning of end times. This development poses a challenge to our heroes. Maki is the chief developer of Kogami's technology, and he didn't just leave, he also destroyed most of his old facility. They're kind of in a bind. Along with his research, he also took another set of purple medals. But there's someone missing in this picture. Aside from a few yummies here and there, we've not seen hide nor hair of Uva. So he's actually established a scheme to collect cell medals steadily using a shady lending company and their employees, using this kid Kosuke as their courier. His goal is eventually to collect enough medals to revive Gamel and Mezul, as well as absorb enough cell medals to become intensely durable. The gang eventually gets wind of the scheme because of Kosuke, who has been giving part of his earnings to the family of his departed mentor. The mother became over-reliant on this money and ended up borrowing money from the same loaning company Kosuke works for, which is why the daughter asked Eiji to meet with Kosuke so she can ask him to stop. This results in a yummy that steals money and just gives it away. Eiji then hints that when you help others, even though your intentions are good, things just happen. Date and Eiji eventually fight the yummy along with Uva, who's so loaded with cell medals, attacks just bounce off him. Using what they know of Yummy so far, Eiji uses Tahador to easily defeat the Yummy. And then 5 purple core medals unseen before enter Eiji's body and renders him unconscious. A visit to the hospital showing nothing, with Eiji waking up fully refreshed. Kosuke regrets his actions, reflecting on the yummy created from his desire and how his act of goodwill got distorted. Eiji reveals that back in the day, he used to run fundraisers to help others but was instead used by bad people who ignited the war, saying that it's more important to just reach out to those in need, to reach out as far as your arms can take. Meanwhile, new yummies appear, dinosaur yummies with the power to devour desire. Gotou witnessing their power to blink away humans into nothing. Eiji and Date initiate a fight with one, but their transformations get undone in mere seconds. Eiji, untransformed and injured, desperate to help people stuck in a building, tries to run and help them but is pulled in by Date, and we see a difference in beliefs between them. Date ensuring that he survives to continue aiding others as a doctor, with Eiji ignoring it and almost getting caught in an explosion the yummies create. Heavily injured, Date scolds Eiji for not valuing his life enough and recalls a story about him. This story, Eiji recalls to Ankh as well, who for the first time actually shows concern for him. Hino Eiji was the son of a powerful politician who was caught up in a civil war in a foreign country, risking his life to save the villagers who helped him in his time of need, but failed to save any of them, including a girl who he befriended, his family paying a hefty ransom to the attackers to spare only Eiji. His goodwill being corrupted by his family, warping Eiji's story to forward their political influence. To lighten the mood, Date does an impression of Kogami, who busts into the doors of the restaurant declaring the birth of the purple greed, created from the essence of mythical creatures and extinct animals.
その欲望は無駄。Nothing.
The trauma of seeing a village of people ravaged by war and being leveraged by his relatives dried up Eiji's desire, making him the perfect host for the Purple Core medals, having no desire of his own. The Pterosaur Yummies, still loose, decide to attack an amusement park, declaring that life is the source of desire, claiming the lives of the people in it. Eiji and Date fight the Yummies, but Eiji, seeing a child crying alone, who probably witnessed people turning into dust in front of her, decides to save her. Using this distraction, one of the Yummies undo his transformation, and the purple medals inside of Eiji begin to stir, transforming him into his ultimate form. This form is called Putotyra, with the power to freeze anything into ice and shatter them with its tail. It's a beautifully designed form, the pterosaur head allowing him to fly, the triceratops allowing him to create extendo horns that skewer his enemies, and the tyrannosaur legs allows him to create a powerful tail. He goes out of control, destroying the two pterosaur yummies with ease, drawing from the ground Putotyra's primary weapon, the Medagabryu. It's an axe that turns into a laser cannon. After taking care of the yummies, Eiji is still out of control and attacks Date. The foreshadowing in the 1000th episode special finally paying off, with Hina being able to stop Eiji's rampage. In his mansion, Kazali fuses the 5th purple medal inside of Maki, revealing him the one who created the pterosaur yummies. With the 10 purple medals divided between Maki and Eiji, it's only a matter of time when the medals push them to face each other. What a great setup! Speaking of setups, let's talk about Gotou. He's being trained by Date for a while, becoming the official support of Kamen Rider Birth. Date even getting the "Gotou-chan nice" catchphrase, which is said every time Gotou has a great idea, which in the last episodes are a lot. In one episode, he's given the opportunity to transform into Birth, but hesitates. But he makes up for this immediately for springing him and Date out of a trap from a yummy, giving us a tease of what kind of Birth Gotou can be. But what about Date? What's up with him? Well, he's been experiencing migraines caused by a bullet stuck in his head. And as a viewer, you'll fully understand why he wants the 100 million yen. And on top of all this, Ankh is struggling with controlling his body. A recent accomplishment from Hina as well as an injury from saving Eiji, allowing Shingo to fully awaken. With the threat of lost Ankh trying to absorb him, Ankh is left without a body. even encountering a freshly revived Mezul and Gamel thanks to Uva. Sidebar for a bit, the actor who played Master Chief from that failed Halo TV show, Pablo Schreiber, I think, excused the decision to unmask Master Chief, saying that it's because we needed access to his emotions. Bro, I know you're defending a show you're on, but that kind of feels like a lack of effort. Look at how Ankh moves, how he's cold, he's alone. He can convey these emotions as a disembodied hand. Anyway, Ankh does go back to Shingo after a while, and Hina kind of allows it for a bit. They rush off to fight a Yami that destroys dreams, a unicorn created by Dr. Maki. The Yami catches Eiji, and it shows this hilarious sight gag showing Eiji's dream, something too big for the Yami to handle, and he immediately undoes it. They are eventually jumped by Gamel, Mezul, and Uva, who planned to take out Oz and Ankh, but they weren't ready for Eiji using Putotyra, this time without going berserk, handily destroying the unicorn Yami and injuring Mezul and Gamel, who eventually betray Uva in lieu of joining Maki and Kazali. Maki then offers 50 million yen upfront to recruit Date, becoming his cell medal collector, stealing away medals from Eiji and Ankh. This betrayal shocks Gotou. He didn't really understand why Date is collecting the 100 million yen, with Kogami pointing out that he's gotten too comfortable with being Date's support. Kogami wanting him to feel his desire to become birth once more. The final confrontation with Date reveals his true reason for collecting a hefty amount of money. And it's very simple. Because of the possible complications of removing a bullet in a living person's brain, there weren't many doctors willing to operate on his case. But with enough money, he'll find someone who'll want to do it. Then he reveals that he's under orders from Kogami to stop Dr. Maki. But because of his condition, he kind of fails. And with Gotou's newfound determination, Gotou finally transforms into Kamen Rider Birth. And he's a completely different fighter, preferring to fully use the arsenal Birth has, even using wings that Date has never used before. His calculated yet reckless way of fighting, repelling an attack from Kazali, Mezul, and Gamel. Kogami pays Date for everything he did, and congratulates him for fulfilling his goal. He eventually leaves for his operation, asking Eiji to remember his desire. And that's the end of Date's story for now. His words to Gotou to make it so that he can leave anytime, now a reality. Gotou fully becoming Kamen Rider Birth. We've come a bit of ways in the story, and we've talked about how the purple medals are attracted to the void of desire. Before we continue with the story, there's something I want to establish. Each greed, in my opinion, or if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, represent a specific kind of desire. Each having desire depending on the situation the parents they choose are currently experiencing. Hence, each greed having a specific desire they cling to which will be apparent at the end of the story. Uva, the green greed of insects, represents envious desires, becoming more popular, richer, having more of something. An interesting example being the Yami in Date's second episode. The Yami initially made because of the parents' desire to become stronger, but split itself because of the parents' reason for that desire. The affection of her teacher who was getting married, or even the failed lawyer who made the Kamen Rider XP and injured people the parent deemed unjust, or even Tsubaki, who's jealous of his more popular contemporaries as a travel blogger. Kazali is the yellow greed of feline mammals, representing the ravenous prideful desire of consumption or the amassing of something. Like the surgeon from episode 13 and 14, she wanted to keep doing operations because she was overconfident with her abilities. Her father barring her from doing so because she wasn't afraid to fail. Or even Sendo from the anniversary episode, who wanted Shocker to become a more powerful force again, but combined with Mezul's theme, was actually just filling in for his desire for true comrades and friends. Speaking of Mezul, the blue greed of aquatic animals, she represents desire derived from love, affection, and adoration. Her first victim was an avid spender who overindulged in spending because of her loneliness. The guy who made bombs loved them so much, he treated his bombs like his children, nurturing each design to perfection. Her frequent display of affection given to Gamel, the white greed of large animals? He made, I guess, a tortoise and an armadillo? The status of large mammals is a bit puzzling to me. He represents the desire of a simple child. Most of his yummies are self-serving or in the service of his mother, Mezul, like the minotaur that just wants to fling things around, or the aforementioned turtle that just wants to avenge Mezul. Their combination yummies actually show a more flexible interpretation of their themes. Like the urchin armadillo who stole people's ability to sleep. It's a bit of a stretch, but I think the Mezul half can be derived from the worry of others not being able to sleep, or just even the love of sleep. Gamel's half is from a child's need to sleep, or even the manta rhino yummy from Sakura who asserted its influence on others in the service of Sakura so she can feel the same admiration her sister did, but eventually failing to attract the one who mattered most to her. Mezul also has the unique trait of being paired with other greed, fitting with her theme well. Uva being the only greed not having a combo yummy with her. The purple greed is already explained, but I have an inkling to what else they represent besides the desire of nothing. And Ankh, well, it's pretty obvious, but I'll save that for a little later. With Shingo recently reawakening, Lost Ankh hounding him so he gets assimilated, and Hina only letting him possess her brother because she allows it, Ankh is starting to feel like he lost his place around everyone. But why doesn't he act better? He acts so abrasively all the time. I mean, it could be that he's scarred by the king that betrayed him 800 years ago. This goes into a head with Hina asking Eiji that if she would ask him to drive Ankh away when Shingo reawakened, would he do it? And he says yes, in front of Ankh even. But in the events of pursuing a yummy lost Ankh maid that forces them out of the Couscous Shear, Ankh threatens Hina's life and she places her trust on him. Eiji noticing that Ankh is absolutely terrified. With Chiyoko's arrival, they celebrate Ankh's birthday. And it feels like a countdown to the end. And as the yummy is defeated and they return to the restaurant, Ankh is assimilated by Lost Ankh. His last hope, a core medal he leaves in the care of Hina. In place of this, Izumi Shingo fully reawakens, revealing that he was able to see everything through Ankh's eyes. He tries to offer Eiji help in his fight, but a happy moment between Hina and her brother causes him to leave. Eiji wanting Hina to live happily with no more worries, no longer being intertwined with the events of the greed or oaths, bidding farewell to the place that has become his home, eventually running into Maki, who explains to him what it feels to be a greed, being able to only want but never able to fulfill anything, their sight uncolored and dulled, their hearing distorted, unable to taste food or distinguish emotions. Once they are complete, they will keep devouring until nothing is left, tasting but cursed to never be fulfilled. Maki revealing that he himself has almost completed his transformation. And then we return to that one moment at the end of the show's first arc when Ankh tells Eiji his goal. Ankh proclaiming to want a complete body that will never fall apart with a glint of tears in his eyes. And it all begins to make sense. His frequent irritation, a reaction to his newfound ability to feel emotion. A shield to hide his fear that one day he will need to give it all back. Gotou saves Eiji from this encounter, and Hina, horrified at the realization that Eiji is losing himself, rushes to find him. Eiji, mending himself alone, realizes that the reason Ankh didn't want to let go of Shingo's body was because he was experiencing life for the first time. To draw Eiji out so Maki and Lost Ankh can complete their medals, Maki creates a yummy to terrorize people and force them to scream Oz's name. Hina tries to stop Eiji, and Shingo asks him to think of himself, but he continues to pursue the yummy. Not wanting to hear people suffer, Eiji answers their call and faces Lost Ankh, denying his identity and proclaiming it's Ankh's. Shingo summarizing how Eiji accepts all this responsibility without asking for anything in exchange. In their battle, Eiji breaks 3 of Ankh's medals, allowing Ankh to take control of his form. Hina helping Eiji revert back to normal. Ankh revives to his former self and retakes Shingo's body by force. Thus the final act of the show begins, with Ankh seeing no way to fully have a complete body of his own, offering to be Maki's container, reviving Uva and joining Maki along with the other greed, much to the disdain of Kazali. Meanwhile, Kogami shares the history of the greed, how alchemists created the medals for the king who searched for the power to rule the world. But every container of that power eventually overflowed and, like the king, went out of control. Kogami proposing a way for Eiji to remove the purple medals from his body, to find his desire, a desire all on his own. But he doesn't find this, as in his previous life, as the son of a rich person in power, he got everything he wanted. That even though he's happy with the concern his friends show, it's still not enough to take the medals out of his body. And you know that's not going to be enough to satisfy him. You've seen the dream the unicorn found in Eiji, didn't you? Eventually, a fight between the greed, Eiji and Gotou commences. Unbeknownst to them, a scheme from Kazali is underway, tricking Gamel to expel cells in the battle, allowing Kazali to take his medals from Eiji, finally absorbing all 9 and becoming complete. A desperate attack from Gotou allowing Eiji to fight back and destroy Kazali's cores. Disintegrating, Maki eliminates Kazali, taking all of his core medals. Kazali's final moments a blur as his final medal breaks and he disappears. Maki delivers this news to Ankh. Ankh claiming he died, but Maki corrects him, claiming that the mass of medals never lived at all. Mezul noticing that Ankh himself has changed, looking unsatisfied even though he's able to taste life through a human body. Eiji, Gotou, and Satonaka initiate an attack on Maki's mansion, with Satonaka absolutely clowning on Gamel, Uva, and even Mezul.
Why was she up there all this time?
Eiji confronting Ankh, asking him to give back Shingo's body, with Ankh proclaiming to use it to become something more powerful than any greed. This fight causes Maki to intervene, using the power he amassed to separate them all. Maki asks Ankh to absorb the other colored medals, until the greed-led Mezul intervenes. Ankh proclaiming how he always hated them for wanting nothing but to look for their medals, a feeling he reserves for himself as well, giving all of the medals to his fellow greed, allowing them to become complete themselves. With Mezul completed, she travels along the city devouring mothers and their children, wanting to feel the same affection. Eiji using the Medagabryu and the Lion Kandroid to destroy her core medals along with Mezul herself. Gamel witnessing Mezul's death goes on a rampage, reducing people into medals, desperate to revive her, not knowing that the core medal that held her consciousness no longer exists. Maki asking for the core attacks Gamel, and Eiji, who was knocked away by Gamel's reaction, washes away into a beach. Meanwhile, Ankh sneaks into Kuskushir, reminiscing the time he spent with the people close enough to call his family. He ate together with them, messed around with them, hell, they even made a movie together, recounting a flavor the greed will never understand. He runs into Hina, asking her, begging her to let him have Shingo's body. This is the most devastating scene in the show, and I'm having a hard time recording it. Ankh telling Chiyoko that only one of him or Eiji can return. Hina breaking down in tears, along with us, the audience. To stop Gamel's rampage, Gotou steps in, being heavily beaten by Gamel's pure power, with Date Akira returning using a prototype belt, signaling his journey to health a success. Their solution to beating Gamel? To fire 2 cannons in Gamel's face. Gamel falling thanks to the damage Maki caused from his attack. His final moments, a memory of his surrogate mother smiling in gratitude. In the beach, Eiji is searching for the O's driver he lost after falling into the water. Ankh arriving to fight him. While they fight and while they argue, Eiji asks Ankh his desire, with Ankh answering to live a life, to properly taste the world. His name, along with his yummies, are a testament to this. The boxer wanting to fight in the ring again but can't because of an injury to his hand and brain. Eiji's friend who thinks he can provide a better life for him, or the homeowner associate leaders, asserting rules upon people under them to improve their own lives. Desires revolving around life experiences for better or worse. But unlike the parents who were used to make those yummies, Ankh's desire is simple: to keep living as he does. Back when Mezul saw him seemingly unsatisfied, he's unsatisfied not because he didn't taste enough, but because he was able to feel remorse for what he's doing to Hina and Shingo, depriving a sister from her only living relative. Eiji shows the other side of the purple greed's desire. His desire to reach out to other people wherever they are. The power to no longer fail saving others. The fulfillment of helping other people, ironically emptying him. Eiji living a life that's already filled with wealth, already having everything he needs and wanted, always wanted to help others. Believing that the money he has can do good. But in his own words, sometimes doing good can cause tragedies. Because to him, the greatest desire is to reach out to those in need. Eiji thanking Ankh for that gift. A desire fulfilled since the beginning of their journey. Maki interrupts this fight, sending 2 more core medals into Eiji, causing him to go out of control and escalating the fight. Ankh manages to subdue him and distracts Maki by setting his doll on fire, resulting in this bizarre joke. Satonaka, under Kogami's orders, finds Eiji and takes him under Kogami's care. Ankh's act of defiance aggravates Maki, causing him to attack Ankh, cracking his main core medal. He recalls Eiji's words of gratitude, and it gives him contentment. A worried Hina sees him in his state, reassuring her that her brother is okay and he'll be back soon, telling her his medal is cracked, in danger of breaking, his existence hanging by a thread. Knowing this danger, he returns to aid Eiji. Meanwhile, Date and Gotou find Kogami trying to convince Eiji in surrendering his purple medals, revealing the insane amount of cell medals Kogami has collected. The man distressed that Eiji would instead awaken into a true greed instead of the true O's. Sensing Maki, Eiji spurs into action to fight him, Date and Gotou following to stop him. The two trying to prevent Eiji's possible rampage, trying to hold back Eiji and Maki as much as possible. But instead, Eiji fully transformed into a greed. Maki, sensing Uva, gives him his final medal, and in his stead, allow Uva to fight, not having any other greed left to turn into his vessel of destruction. The fully resurrected Uva is too much for even 3 riders, and that's when Eiji remembers Kogami's collection of medals, which he gives willingly. With this massive amount of cell medals and the original Tatoba medals the king used so long ago, Uva is defeated. But Maki uses the other core medals in his possession to reconstitute him. And then he throws in more and more, making Uva into the vessel of medals. Uva runs away in fear, not wanting to lose control. Eiji tries to stop Maki but is too tired and knocked away. Maki's finishing blow repelled by Ankh, intervening to help Eiji for his ice cream. As the opening theme transforms into a ballad, Ankh spends his final moments with Eiji and Hina. Hina holding their hands together, remembering Chiyoko's words that it's okay for her to want all of them to be okay. Chiyoko finding Maki's doll, a white rose in its hands, a flower symbolizing new beginnings. Maki letting go of the final vestiges of his humanity. The morning of the final battle arrives. Uva finally losing control and becoming a monolith, reducing objects into cell medals, generating yummies endlessly. Ankh, Eiji, Gotou, Date, and Satonaka fight to save the city. the former three defending the ground while Ankh and Eiji directly attack Maki and his creation. Kyoto Maki has truly become a despicable villain. But seeing him cry a few episodes ago and knowing who he's become at the end of the series kind of puts him in another light in my eyes. He's a broken person who wants the world to end, thinking that moving forward, humans are in danger of becoming unsightly. He let his despair and cynicism get in the way of a chance for happiness, believing that ending the world will grant it its completion. But the doll he left in Chiyoko's care may hint to a little bit of humanity left in him. Maybe a feeling of regret once he put his plan into place. An opportunity that brings them close enough distance allows Eiji to pursue his gambit, to use the massive number of medals to attack Maki.
今俺の中にはあなたを絶対に倒せるだけの力がある。
But thanks to the monolith's intervention, he survives. To prevent Eiji from going out of control again, Ankh allows Eiji to use Tahajor, the final medal destroying Ankh's form.
アンク行くよ。変身。
タカ、クジャク、コンドル。
Using the Taha Spinner and the purple medals, Eiji puts an end to Maki and his creation. The destruction of Maki's monolith causes a black hole to form, absorbing everything around it. The force destroying the medals OOO absorbed, along with Eiji's purple medals, and Ankh's medal that finally cracks into. Ankh expresses his gratitude to Eiji, saying that he got what he wanted. Every time he takes a bite of ice cream, every time he expresses annoyance towards others and acted up, is his awkward way of experiencing life. He loved what he had, and now he feels satisfied. As he fades, he tells Eiji to let go, that he's no longer the hand he needs to reach out for. Gotou reaching out his, and below, Satonaka, Date, Chiyoko, Hina raise their hands to reach him. An epilogue showing everyone returning to their lives before O's. Eiji returns to traveling in the hopes of restoring Ankh. But the story is far from over, as it will take us 10 more years to see the story reach its conclusion. So join me next time as I watch all of the movies O's was in, as we watch Eiji continue his journey towards the beautiful ending of Kamen Rider O's.